In this video, we're going to take a look at what's definitely one of the most popular features in Vela, and that's variation profiles. We'll look at doing this for Shopify. And what variation profiles allows you to do is basically if you have a group of listings, in this case, let's look at iPhone cases, for example, that maybe you have 50, 500, 5,000 different individual listings that may have a different design on the phone case or different graphic on the t-shirt or whatever else it might be. But the options and variations and potentially even pricing, quantity, SKUs, etc., that define those listings are the same. And from the standpoint of the buyer, they are simply selecting between which, graphic or which case cover they want. But the options, the variations would be the same. So by creating a profile, you have one entity that you can then connect as many listings as you would wish to. So if you ever then need to make a change, update pricing, mark something as sold out, adjust quantities, you can simply do it at the profile level and those changes will take effect everywhere. So we'll explain everything here. I'll walk through all the details on how to create a new profile, update, edit profiles, how to delete profiles, connect listings to profiles, really everything you need to know to make the most of this functionality. So to start, you would come to the profile section. You'll find that on the sidebar, second icon here. Then when you come in, any of your existing profiles will be saved and presented before you. So you'll see an indication if there are listings connected, how many listings are connected to that profile. You can view which listings are connected, remove any listings connected to a profile by simply clicking the remove icon. And now to start, if you want to create a new profile from scratch, a couple ways to do it. We'll start with by clicking the create profile button. Then you'll just give the profile a name. So we're going to focus on iPhone cases here. So we'll say iPhone 13 profile. Now that you've given it a name, you're going to want to then name the first variation. So we'll say phone model. So we created that as our first variation, but now you obviously need to create options. So we'll do iPhone 13 Pro, just keep it simple, and iPhone 13 Max. Pro Max, actually. Okay, so we have that. Now, as within Shopify, you can create up to 3 variations per listing. So if you wanted to add a second variation here, let's say we do case color. And we'll add some options here. Say we do clear or black. If you wanted to add a third variation, then as again within Shopify, you can add up to 3 variations. So you can do that here with as many options within Shopify's limits as are allowed. And if you need to make any edits or adjustments on an individual option, then you can do it directly by just clicking the pencil, making those updates, clicking save. Now you'll also notice here that you have the option to set individual pricing as well as compare it price, cost per item at the profile level. You can set individual quantity, SKU, barcode, even adjust your shipping settings at the profile level. Now keep in mind, and this is important, that when you apply a profile to a group of listings, that profile will then override any existing variations that have been set for that listing that were already in place for that listing. So as you connect listings, the profile settings will take precedent. So you need to make sure that it's exactly what you want. Now, you can obviously make changes to the profile, but just be careful about that. So let's say that we did want to set individual pricing here. So we'll say that for the Pro, it's going to be $25. Let's not worry about compare price yet. And we'll say it'll be $30 for the Max. So we do that directly in line. Then let's go ahead and save the profile. So you'll see that as we save the profile, it's saved, but to start out, there's no listings connected. So there's a couple ways to connect listings to a profile. I'll cover them all, but first here, we'll click the connect listing icon. From this point, you will then see all your listings in that shop. You'll have filters up top, allowing you to be able to select and filter as needed. We're going to be looking for our iPhone cases. So let's find that in our product type. Here we find our iPhone cases. That's going to bring these up. You can then select all if I wanted to apply this profile to all 72, or I can pick and choose which ones I want. So just say we were going to apply it to these first 5. So I do that, click connect 5 listings. You'll see then that those listings are connected. The sync indicator appears up top. Depending on how many you select will determine the time it takes, but in this case, should move really fast. It'll just take a second to then process that. And then those listings will do a double check here, but let's copy the title on one of those, for example. Well, you'll actually now see that the profile that we just created, the iPhone 13 profile, is now added as a filter on your sidebar. So if I wanted to confirm that those listings were connected to the profile, then I can just select them, come into variations within bulk edit, and you'll see that that profile in the exact settings that I put, the prices, if I would have included quantity or SKU or barcode or anything else, that would have been included as well. So that profile and these 5 listings are now connected. And yet, even when you do connect a listing to a profile, you can still make individual changes. So let's say that for this particular case, I wanted to add another option. So I added white as a case color, but I didn't want to include that in the profile because maybe the white isn't available for all these listings, but only for a few of them. If I wanted to change the price specifically on this one for whatever reason, then I can certainly do that. And it would still remain connected to the profile unless I intentionally remove it from the profile. But again, I can still make individual updates to it. I would then just click sync updates to push those through, but that work has already been covered in the variations video. So I'll just close out. I'll go back to the listings page. I want to cover now the other way that allows you to create a profile. So I'm going to look for those iPhone cases again. It's under product type here. So I go to my iPhone cases, and if I had a listing that already contained the profiles, the variations and options that I know I want, and that was going to then be applied to others. Here, for example, I can create a profile both within the individual edit mode or within bulk edit. Either way, when you look at a listing's variations, you're going to see this profile icon in the top right-hand corner. So when I click that, it's going to then open up and prompt me to be able to create a new profile. So I'll call this iPhone profile number 2. So I create that. I can then go directly to the profile section. You can see now I have the iPhone profile number 2. It's actually just even update the title, make it consistent. So I've got iPhone 13 profile number 2 here and the original iPhone 13 profile. Now, when I create this from the existing listing, it is going to then use it as a starting point, again, to be able to take the variations that were already in place and let that be the starting point of then adding to it if I want, or simply just creating a profile and then applying this to other listings that are going to need the same exact variations and options. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that when you copy that from a listing to use is needed to start a profile, it's going to carry over everything else that was part of it. So here's a really important thing. Many times people will need to use individual SKUs across various listings. So they may have the exact same variations, price, quantity across different listings that they want to apply the same profile to, but the SKUs are going to be specific for each listing and each option. So if that's the case, then you would want to delete the SKUs from the profile and not have those be applied. So we'll click Save here, Update Current Profile. And let's say that we do want to add another case option here. So we'll call this, we've got the slim case, the soft case, we'll call this the hard case. Add, and let's save that again. Now you notice that this, at this point, is still not connected to any listings, but I'll show how we're going to connect that to additional listings. So let's go back to the main page here and look back at our phone, at our iPhone cases. I'll just pick these first three as an example. Edit, we come into variations. Now, you'll see that to start, each of these have individual SKUs that have already been set up that are not even the same across every option, but separate SKUs for each option within each listing that we want to retain, but we still want to apply that profile. So we'll choose from up top here. Here's the iPhone 13 profile 2. Now, you'll see that it's going to add hard case here. So it's going to add the new option that we added. We'll click Apply. We'll sync updates. You'll see that that will take effect. Changes will be sent to Etsy. And yet the important thing here is that it did add the new hard case style, but it retained those existing SKUs. However, it did obviously not add a SKU for the new case that we added. So at this point, you could go through and add in, I won't do them all here, but the way that you would typically do this would be then to simply add in your new case, add in your new SKUs for the new case that you added. But important thing is that you were able to apply the profile yet still retain the SKUs. And if you had also had individual prices that were different across the listings, quantity, barcode, anything else, you could do that as well. You'll notice that also there's now the ability to set specific photos. So here you could choose the photos that you want to then have displayed for each specific option, so that when the buyer was checking out or looking and viewing that listing, if they were to select the iPhone 13 Pro Max Slim case, they would see the right picture for that one. So this is done at the individual level because it can't be done in bulk since the photos are specific to each listing. But here's a quick way to be able to flip through and have those photos set correctly. You can also then again update individual shipping and anything else that you would want to do. Let's go back to the profile section. I want to cover just one more thing here, and that is then how to create a profile from copying. So you can copy any of your existing profiles within the same shop, or if you have multiple shops connected, you could copy that profile, really convert it into an Etsy profile in this case, Etsy and Shopify being the first two channels that we have integrated, but Amazon, eBay, more channels to come, you'd be able to do the same thing. So if I wanted to copy this existing profile in the same shop, I would just select that first option. Now we'll call that, you can see copy of iPhone profile. So we'll call it iPhone 13 profile number 3. And then here, again, just another way to have a starting point to create a fresh profile. If in this case, I wanted to take away this second variation entirely, and I was simply going to be having phone model, or I needed to add more options here. Basically, whatever else I needed to do, I could update quantity, price, everything that we covered previously, but just another way to be able to create another profile. Finally, if you ever needed to delete a particular profile, then you would see the delete option here. You can just click delete on any individual profile, and it's going to delete that profile. It will not delete the listings that are connected to it, but simply delete the profile itself. The settings that were part of that profile will still remain on the listings, but could then continue to be changed. So this covers everything about profiles and hopefully gives you the tools needed to be able to make the most of what hopefully will be really valuable functionality, save you a ton of time, let you work more efficiently across more and more listings.